What's going on? What's going on, my people? Yeah, we're a little late. We're a little late, but we got some fire for you. You dig? What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? Hope everybody's cool. Hope life is good. Hope nobody got one of those DWIs today. And I told you guys at the last show, somebody's supposed to be going to their boss or their supervisor and letting him know you've been putting that work in for quite some time. And where's your promotion at? Stop being quiet, people. Quiet people don't get the top spots. But as you guys know, it's time for the disclaimer. If you are of the weak, the weary, the faint-hearted, better known as what we call a soft male, if you don't do well with criticism, all in the name of doing better than you did yesterday, then this is not the show for you, because we do all of that here, all in the name of being better than we were yesterday, right? So listen, you guys know we got some heat for you. And to be honest, this is probably my first time and last time being able to say this to you. This is one of the shows that I don't really take much delight in. As you guys know, I'm very intimate about my people, as all races should be. I've told you guys several times, if I had to pay a monthly membership fee to be black, I would, But there's a thing taking place, and it seems to be getting nowhere. When people are screaming one thing to a group of people, but they're not really getting any results, they're not really, being heard. After so long, what do you do? That's the question. After so long, what do you do? That question was posed as me as a dad, right? And I kept pressing my children. I kept pressing them and pressing them and pressing them. And it took about 2 years later. You know what my middle boy told me? He said, Dad, after he read this in a book, and he conveniently shared it with the great lecturers, what they call me. He said, Dad, sometime you can try to be the hero so long to where you turn into the villain. And I believe in that. I told him, I said, good information, son, good information. You can press someone and attempt to try to get them to see things your way. But what about when it just doesn't seem like that's going to work, right? What about that? So we're going to put it out there. The question posed tonight: black men, is it easier to just date outside of your race? What about that? I think what no one understands is how loyal black men have. Listen, let's get this straight now. Let's definitely get this straight. Because I saw some things in some comments. There's been women coming online apologizing to black men, saying we were duped. We were lied to by the simps. And men were not having it. And I didn't like that. Because that's supposed to be what we're even doing all of this for, to get our women to come back to us, right? I acknowledge that when black women were behaving accordingly, like the grandparents, black men were doing them wrong. Black men were doing them wrong. But here's the thing. You modern women today, anyone who's 30 years old, you can't lay claim to that. You can't lay claim to And let's put it this way. The grandparents, the grandfathers that were cheating on the grandmothers of that time, they were also putting these women in houses, and these women never had to work. So yes, we did misbehave. We did misbehave, and I'll go further than that. It's not misbehave. We did women wrong back then. But you modern women can't lay claim to that. The way you're behaving today, there's no answer for it. The world has called you out. The world has condemned your behavior. Black men have condemned your behavior. Some black women have condemned your behavior, and you seemingly don't want to recalibrate. So at that point, the question becomes, for a man who's made something decent of himself, should he continue to deal with you being mouthy, telling him men and women are equal to each other? Or should he get someone who is just naturally and culturally pleasant? What would you do? I'm going to tell you, fellas, where all the good women are. They are according to your socioeconomic status. That's even, and black women as well. Actually, I should have said that. I'll tell you, fellas, where all of the good black women are. They are according to your socioeconomic status. The more successful you become, fellas, in your life, the more your horizon will broaden. The company that you keep, the places that you frequent. Let me make sure I'm giving you guys a good show tonight. Mic check, mic check. Yeah, we doing good as usual. Yeah, but fellas, the more successful you become, the more your horizon will broaden. The company you keep, the places you frequent, the places you eat, the places you shop, and the more encounters you will have with higher quality black women, because they definitely exist. And even though they won't all be perfect, I guess some of them, will have taken on certain ways that you'll need to correct, because that's what's floating around in our culture. That's what's influencing in the black community, right? So it's a lot of that is going to touch everybody. But these women that I'm talking about, they won't be so deeply ingrained with it that you can't speak a few words of correction into them and achieve the results that you're looking for, right? Basically, they'll be more pleasant to deal with and will be able to impart beneficial information to you as well. This is going to get deep, fellas. Ladies, this is going to get deep. So listen, good black women do exist, but they're in a different socioeconomic level. So increase your social standing. Increase your social standing. So that you don't have to worry about more ratchet women. They're lower down. They're not going to balls, galas, benefits, and charities. Shaquita is definitely not at the homeless shelter helping feed people, right? Fellas, those of us who have taken on the task of fixing ourselves and doing better than what the world called us when they were calling us deadbeat dads, broke NIGs, and things like that, we deserve better. We shouldn't have to keep fighting with someone, because if you have went through the steps it takes to somewhat fix yourself, and you take on a person who is damaged, she's going to take you back to square one where you were at before you started working on yourself. That's what's going to happen. And it probably took you years to rebuild yourself, because a lot of us have incurred damage, right? But here's the thing. Unfortunately, the people who are going to be most affected is the majority of black men. Majority of black men make an average income of around $41,000 a year. So those are the ones who are going to be in the environment where the ratchet, culturally infected women dominate. And there's only a couple of options to remedy this or deal with it. One, climb the socioeconomic ladder. This is where you encounter a higher caliber of people, and then their friends are going to be higher caliber of people, right? You're going to be doing different things. You're going to be skiing. You're just going to be doing, your horizon is going to be getting broadened, This isn't a one-way street, but Shaquana's not going to be the one who helps you do that. Shaquana has a friend that just needs this package moved or whatever, and even though you don't mess around, She may let you know of an opportunity that you can make some money and mess your life up. These are the type of conversations Shaquana has. And again, what I'm telling, I always like to make sure that people know there's some amazing black women out there. All black women are not terrible. It's just that the ones that are terrible are terrible. They'll tell you that men and women are equal. They're basically living the lives of hypocrites. We're equal, but when someone jumps out and wants to mug her, she wants you to take up for her. We're equal, but you're supposed to pay for the meals every time we go out, right? And that's the problem. You know, there's been a lack of respect due to men. I really wish I could show you guys this. I'll actually show it next time, and we're not even going to get off topic. But one, climb the social to escape these type of people and get the women you desire. Climb the social economic ladder. Get you a trade, pipe fitting, welding, plumbing, electrician. Get you something that you can climb a ladder in, and eventually even own your own business with enough experience, right? Two, utilize your average income to go out of the country or travel to different states where you can find and interact with more wholesome women. A lot of times I tell people this, the answer is getting out of the place that you were born. The answer is getting out of your hometown. Listen, I'm starting to believe that for the average man making average wages, you're going to have to get a side hustle going where you can start traveling without affecting your core income. You know, if you're making $41,000 a year, you're typically not having a lot to splurge on. But if you get a little side hustle going on, like an eBay store, something that you're consistent with, you can generate enough money to where you can enhance the quality of your life. You know, we have to stop thinking. And listen, let me say this. Everybody's not a business owner. That's a fact. With this boom that we're going in right now, and have been in for quite some time, this immediate gratification levels of the social media, all of the information that's passing us, entrepreneurs, everybody's profile says business owner. Listen, it's a lie. A business owner is not for everybody. Why do you think they call them the top 20%? Because only around 20% are able to achieve such goals, right? So I don't even want you to get discouraged because you know you're not a business person and you're hearing me say that. That's why I said side hustle. Something like an eBay store or something like that, because you start generating money and you can go to Belize, you can go to Brazil, you can go to the UK. Yeah, I know a couple of people in the UK, right? Listen, what I want to help you understand, these women are different. They are so different. Some of these women will treat you like celebrities. Being in California, you often bump into them. Often. You know, some of them are here for this and some of them are going back. So listen, like I was saying, I'm starting to believe that the average man making minimum wages, well, not minimum wages, but average wages, you're going to have to you should open your mind to creating a side hustle to where you can have extra money to go do things with. They say a well-traveled man is a wise man. The reason they say that is because imagine you having 5 friends. You're the only one who travels to certain places. You're going to have topics broader than theirs to talk about that they're not going to be able to keep up with you on. Because you'll have done things that they haven't done. But listen, over the last 20 years, we've made significant strides in changing. We've went above and beyond to change and to be better. And as sad as it is for me to say this, I'm going to say it. It's not impossible for you to find a good, wholesome black woman here, but the odds are going to be similar to what Muhammad Ali said. Muhammad Ali said, if I see 100 snakes coming at my door and 5 of the snakes are good, do I shut the door on the entire 100, or do I try to leave the door cracked long enough for the 5 good snakes to get in and risk letting some of the bad snakes get in? The scenario is similar. The reason that the odds are so high in encountering so many ratchet, uncivilized women is because it's not necessarily their behavior. It's a cultural concept that they've taken on to and embedded it deep within their DNA. They love it. They love it. Similar to how Mexican culture get together and they cook those amazing Mexican dishes. In the black community, listen, I said this on the show last week. Do you know how to get thrown in the marriage material slot quicker than anything? Get as close as you can to having a personality that is opposite to black culture. Men don't typically want women who are bad bees, that boss bee. Men don't, listen, you guys are calling men bro. How do I fall romantically crazy about you and you're calling me bro? I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's inappropriate. Yeah, but in our community, listen, this is going to get deep. This is going to get really deep. In our community, it teaches us to brag about killing each other, to brag about women being whores, for women to call themselves bitchs, right? For women to dress like whores, for women to desire to be equal to, not only to be equal with men, but to be more than men. This is what's going around. This is what we're dealing with. I want to show you guys something. Give it up. Is that it? Yeah, there we go. I want to show you guys something. We should be so proud. We should be so proud. Looky there. Black women have butts, and they can make them jiggle. Wow. When other races are teaching their kids how to inherit their companies. Fellas, for those of you who want better and would like to start families, it's going to be your best option to probably, become intrigued with getting a woman from a different race or a country who hasn't been corrupted. Because unfortunately, women like this, and there is a great number of them, once you've abandoned your principles and your souls to this degree, there's probably no lectures, no talks that you can have with a person like this to get them back in right standing. That's a corrupted soul. You have to think about this. Think about your grandmother. From that time to now, do you know what has to have taken place for women to get comfortable showing their nipples? They love to do it. Their main asset. They're not talking for women. Black women are saying right now that they've surpassed men in education and blah, 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 blah. Well, why are they not bragging on their education on Instagram? Instead of all they're doing is showing their bodies. You're not wife material. And everybody knows it. And it's really crazy because think about this. These women are getting hair extensions of foreign women, mimicking these women's eyelashes. They're trying to look like these traditional, culturally experienced women, but not behave like them. It's really some type of split identity crisis. That's really crazy to me. The situation is so screwed up. Black women are buying these people's hair, buying eyelashes, long fingernails, and things like this. And the only thing that you can think of is these people can't be happy with who they really are. You're literally trying to turn into someone else. And it makes us think that you know those people across seas, the Asians, you know they're better than you. You know they're better than you. I can't imagine. It's the same as people going out and buying Michael Jordans. Everybody wanted to be like Mike. You claim that you're so superior, but you really want to be like these women. You're trying to live their lives. You're trying to live their DNA. Black men have been telling you for the longest, we just want you natural. But you're so hooked and so addicted to trying to be like an entirely different group of people, you've lost who you are. You don't remember who you are. You know, people don't realize these women's souls and bodies are for sale today, and not for money. It's for likes and comments. These women will do almost anything for likes and comments. You have to deduce, like, I want you to think about this. What has to have happened to a person for them to take themselves to a place so far away from their natural human nature, which is to be shy, reserved? The place a person like that has to have taken themselves to in order to become willing to show parts of their body is a place that is not easily retrieved back. You have become something at this point. When you're showing nipples, when you wear pants that are so tight, you desire your camel toe to be shown. You're still human, but you're very, very corrupted. You're very corrupted to be on display broadcasting your body, your female parts, which are supposed to be sacred, but yours aren't sacred. You put them on full display for all men to see. But then when a man who's not as attractive says something to you, you have a problem with him, but you don't realize you're walking around half naked. Why wouldn't he say something to you? You know, seriously, listen. If you look at how these women are dressing today on social media, that's a place that will take some very hard work and dedication to recover from and find your way back to decency. You know, when you grew up, that shy little girl playing in daisies, playing in the grass and things like that, you never thought you would be doing this. So when you break that boundary of being shy, of being respectful of, and being confident in who you are, you're able to do these things. I believe that once you break past that barrier, that's a barrier that's not easily retrieved. So fellas, what you have to ask yourself is, are you willing to put that time in that will be required to help a person find their sense of decency again? Are you willing to put that type of time in? It would be the same as asking yourself if you're okay with putting in the amount of time that it would take a woman to lose 100 pounds, because the workload is actually going to be that extraneous to help a person retrieve their soul and find their way back to decency. It's going to be similar to helping a person lose 100 pounds. And as hard as it was for you to come back from wherever you came from, are you prepared to put that type of work in? Listen, they say it takes 10,000 hours to master a craft. 10,000 hours is roughly a year and 2 months, something around a year and 2 months. These women have been infused with a type of genetic behavior that is very complicated and problematic, to be honest. And unfortunately, these ladies have been practicing this thing not for 10,000 hours, but for 200,000 hours, which is around 22 years. Listen, do you know how difficult it would be to remove such a deeply ingrained behavior after someone has been practicing it for over 200,000 hours? The odds are actually against it. Listen, I want to tell you people this. Most of us have been given sound information by our grandparents, by our mom, and we didn't listen. After a person has been living a lifestyle of getting drunk on a regular, smoking weed on a regular, demonstrating non-ladylike behavior, cursing on a regular, things like this, for over 200,000 hours, do you really think your lecture is going to get her to turn around? Are you crazy? Are you crazy? Do you know what 200,000 hours is? Listen, they weren't born this way. You know, this is similar to how doctors' optimism drops after drops really low after they discover that the cancer of one of their patients has reached their bones. It's similar to that. 200,000 hours of practicing a lewd behavior. This behavior has become a trend. It's a part of culture, and they gravitate towards it around the ages of 8. And most practiced it for dozens of years. You can look on TikTok right now. You look on TikTok right now and see young 8-year-olds with their shorts pulled up so tight you can see their crotch, things like this. The skankish moms are letting them do it. And that's what you see. That's why you see the marital rape amongst black women as low as it is. Listen, for those of you who don't know, the marital rate in the black community used to be higher than the white community. In 1970s, before the women's equal rights movement, black men and women were married at an 80% rate. In 1970s, when women were given equal rights, and women were told to roam on as they free, as they desire, in the black community, that thing went from 80% marital rate to current time today, 17% as it stands. Some very bad mistakes had to have been made. Listen, and I'm going to say this. With numbers that low, what the world is telling you, and it hurts me hard to say this. It hurts me to say this. With numbers that low, the world is telling you that no one, and I do mean no one, wants these women. The proof is in the numbers. 17% marital rate. If you go to a restaurant and you see an item that is only being sold at a 17% rate, they'll get rid of that item. It's not even profitable to be taking up space on the menu. That means that item, it has to be gross or it's not favored amongst a lot of people. And I've already told you guys, they just released a survey that suggested that African American women are the most undesired woman on the entire planet as it comes to relationships. On the planet. Japanese men don't want them. Asian men don't want them. White men don't want them. Listen, where are you starting to hear white men developing relationships with black women? Even they resort to eventually, this is what we're starting to hear. Even the relationships where white men have started dating black women, they've resorted to calling these black women racial names. It's probably a mixture of not being able to deal with this woman because her behavior doesn't coincide with your culture. Excuse me. And probably also a mixture that there is and may be a fetish that exists where white men would want to have a black woman to look at like their property, like, you know, some sort of thing like that. And that's probably not with all of white men who date black women, which is a very small percentage anyway. There's only 4% of those type of marriages. White woman, black man, things like white man, black woman. There's only 4%. My point is this. African American men, and I want you guys to hear me, African American men have made significant strides to better themselves. Over the course of years, the things that you guys used to be able to say about us, people can no longer say. We've come from a 41% African American male poverty ratio to now we're at 17%. We've done better by over half. We were called deadbeat dads for the last 30 years. Recent survey was just released that suggested of all ethnic groups, black men are shown to be the most intimately involved in their children's lives above all ethnic groups. Black men, you're putting in the work. You've changed the story about you. And you don't deserve to be stressed out by a woman, especially as you've come so far away. You deserve what white men and Mexican men come home to. Respect. If you used to sell drugs and you don't sell drugs anymore, that's a major accomplishment. You know, I lost a lot of respect for T.I. They say T.I.'s son you recently got into it with someone who worked at a burger place, and T.I. went on a live and was talking about, I was disappointed in my son. You gonna argue with someone who's in that socioeconomic standing? Listen, if you get up every morning and you go to work, I don't care if it's McDonald's. Most people would rather lay on their backs. That man that gets up off of his back and goes and flips those burgers, I salute you, brother. I salute you, because we all know the easier thing to do is lay on your back. So that statement that T.I. made, suggesting that people who work at these type of jobs are lower than or less than, it was complete error. It was complete error. Listen, how is it that Latino men don't go through that? And they push fruit carts and they bring in about probably $50 to $100 a day. And they come home to a warm plate and someone who asked them how their day was. Black men, we don't have to keep putting up with this. And we shouldn't. Life is short and you're doing better. But you can't do better if you're trying to also help somebody else come from as far away as you've come from. Look at how long it took you to recover from where you recovered from, right? Listen, I'm the last one who wants to say this, and it hurts me to say it. These women, they're not our women. 100% they are not our women. If they were our women, they would treat us like Latino men get treated by their women. They let us know that they're better than us. I'm going to say it again. These are not our women. As pro-black as I am, that's a problem for me to even be able to say that. You just have to look at it from a certain standpoint. When you know you deserve better, demand that you're giving better. You have to demand it. They're marrying at a 17% ratio out of 100. They look like us. But these black women, they're not our black women. It's like a clone. It's like somebody played a dirty trick on us and dropped some alien abduction, dropped some women down here on earth that look like our women, but these aren't our women. They don't even want what's best for us. They call us names. They tell the world that they don't need us on a regular, everyday basis. Would you call somebody yours that's telling everybody else that they don't need you and that they're better than you? Not equal to you, but better than you. If these women were our women, they would treat us like that we're their man. And that's not what we're getting. We deserve better. And the proof that we deserve better is how far we've come to be better. Black man, you are better. You are doing better. And they won't tell you. They won't broadcast how much better you're doing like they did on the Jenny Jones show, the Oprah Winfrey show, the what is it? Ricky Lake show. For decades, these people blasted us as deadbeat dads and things like that. But they won't blast across these syndicated talk shows how much black men have improved, because they know that if they did show the world how much we've improved and put it on national TV outlets, the world would have to look at us in a more positive light. But I'm telling you, you're doing better. Listen, and you don't have to be bouncing back from black woman to black woman to black woman trying to find someone who's going to treat you with respect. The same respect that a 4'11" Asian man gets from their wives. Ain't that something? You cannot build with these women. You can't build with them. And we're going to continue to put emphasis on, I'm not saying all black women, because I've told you where the amazing black women are. You shouldn't really even have to sift through 100 black women to see if there's one decent. Those odds are terrible. And our culture plays a great role in it as well. Their main focus is not your main focus. You can't build with these women. Look how they destroyed it. We're going to do this again.
You just got cash. Blow some up. Blow some.
Nobody's gonna know.
Look at this.
Nobody's gonna know.
Look at how they destroy themselves. What do you think they'll do with the things that you're trying to build? They're shortcut experts. Instead of growing their hair to a natural form, they rather put weave in their hair for like a month straight. Instead of losing the weight, they rather wear waist trainers or get liposuction. Instead of getting healthy and maybe hitting the gym to tone up their butt, they'd rather go get Brazilian butt lifts, or as you've seen, the girl put on the... And see, you can't use shortcuts in order to build empires. So you trying to bring that woman into your empire, it's going to collapse before it even gets started. We've seen it time and time again. Who was, what is his name? The NBA player who is it? Who is it? It is Steven Jackson. I encourage everyone right now to, even if you have to stop what you're doing, to go on YouTube and look at what that girl tried to pull on Steven Jackson. He ended up leaving her at the altar. Come to find out, he couldn't get her to sign his prenup. I'm going to do it, babe. I'm going to do it. 3 months in advance, he's telling her he needs this done. He couldn't get her to do it. The day of, babe, I need you to sign this and blah, 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 blah. Listen, he couldn't figure out why she wanted a priest. They're in Dallas, I think. She wanted a priest, the pastor from Dallas, and he couldn't figure out because his pastor's right over here. Long story short, she had an agreement with the pastor. When they found out that this girl wouldn't sign the prenup, it wasn't Jalen Rose. Who was it? He gives him big praise. His friend stood up and said, no, we're not doing it. And he grabbed Steven Jackson was crying because he loved this woman, right? There was a huge plan by her, the pastor, and a couple of her girlfriends to hit that man and leave him. Afterwards, she hit him for a crazy amount of money on child support. And I'm bringing that up because of this. You better know what type of woman you're dealing with. You better know. You better know what type of woman you're dealing with. You can't build with these women. You better vet these women. Listen, we're going to get away from that. Listen, their main focus is not your main focus. They need to make sure that their butt looks right. That's their main focus. Look, you don't have to believe me. Look on social media. They need to make sure that their clothes are very revealing. And it's apparently not what you're on, because you wouldn't have went through what you went through to make such a significant strides in correcting your past behavior, right? Black man, did you know that any woman you touch will produce a black child? I don't want you to have that guilt on you any longer. I see that there's nothing we could say to these women. They're not going to stop. You can look at Fresh and Fit podcasts. You can look at so many podcasts where they're interviewing these women and they're asking them, if your man told you he didn't want you posting certain pictures on your account, would you stop? She said no. Multiple times. We've seen this on multiple shows. Listen, you're not abandoning your race by expanding your options to women who fit more to your program. I don't want you feeling like that. Women whose culture and raisings coincide with letting the man be the man, showing him respect, letting him provide and protect while she brings peace to that man, right? Your odds are going to go up significantly when you just submerge yourself in the energy of people who were raised to treat a man with respect. It just will. You won't have to persuade, convince, or blackmail someone into treating you decent. You won't have to have lectures with someone about how a woman is supposed to treat a man. They were raised like it. And their mom would be disappointed if you called back to Egypt and told their mom, like, these people have this ingrained with them just as much as black women have ratchet and hood rat ingrained in them. Again, not all black women. But we know who we're talking about. They're all over social media. So don't act like it's just me saying this. I don't know. And here's the thing. There are women who exist who want someone that they can appreciate and brag to their friends about. Another thing, you know how we all tell black women that complain about black men about it's their faults because you keep picking those type of men? Well, fellas, the same thing applies to you. You know how a lot of these women are. They go out of their way to show you every single day on social media. Your hope is that maybe, just maybe, if you'll bump into the right one, you know, this is only causing you to waste more time and incur more mental damage. And maybe even risk getting one of them pregnant, which you do not want to go into that story. Listen, it's actually very unfortunate where we are because a lot of this behavior comes from where some of these women were born. The things that they saw, the damage they incurred. But listen, statistics show a lot of black men were able to shake their damage off in order to pursue things that were not fortunate enough for them to have as they were children. A mother and a father in the same home, financial stability, you know, things like that. Black men have done better in order to achieve those things for their children, right? So if black women run the world and these black women are equal to us, they have more degrees than us, like the late great Kevin Samuel says, the world does not owe any of us understanding. You should be able to shake your damage off just like a lot of us did. Since you are more educated than us, women run the world, you're equal to us, then we shouldn't have to have empathy towards you for going through whatever you went through that made you the way you are today. Right? You don't like that type of equality though, do you? I know. If you can't bend it to your favor, it's a problem. Listen, and I'm not saying that there's not still some decent black women out here. I've reiterated this several times already. But fellas, they're not at your levels. The average black man makes $41,000 a year to $42,000 a year. The women you're dealing with at that economic level are going to be the exact same women that we're having discussion about day after day after day. Because you're not able to get far enough outside of your geographic location to experience the pleasant black women. It only changes as your economic standing increases, because then you start going places, the different calibers of women are present, right? Listen, if you want to know what type of women that you're dealing with that I'm stressing to you, it may be time to just cut your losses. Just know this. A great number of these same women are getting pregnant by multiple different men. Not once, not twice, but 3 and 4 times. I want you to stop and think about what type of behavior that is. To continue making mistakes that are that catastrophic, I'll let you know who you're dealing with. This is a mentally ill person. To be honest, I really don't think that there's anything that you can do to help these women. You guys have seen multiple podcasts. You guys have seen multiple podcasts where multiple people with hundreds of thousands and millions of views of people are trying to talk to these people and convince them that there's a better way to behave and things like that. I could show you, but I'm not going to. The entire world has called them out and condemned them about their behavior, even called them names and shamed them. And it hasn't stopped anything. It hasn't corrected anything. And I don't want to be the one to say that there's not one or two or even 10 who didn't recalibrate after seeing some of these shows or anything like that. But that's not enough amongst the mass to meet the approval ratings. It's not. I want you to look at these women, measure their energy. What do you think this type of woman would do while you're out creating your empire? A man who's handsome, maybe a little bit more handsome than you. Do you think that if she bumped into him at the club with her girls, that she wouldn't get... Listen, here's what I'm talking about.
You just got cash. Blow some up. Blow some.
Nobody's gonna know.
Again, do you think one of those women that you just saw would not come up off of that phone number? If she's starving that bad for attention to be doing what we're seeing they're doing right now, it shows you where her interest is. And it's not just into you. She may even care about you a little bit. She'll still get banged out. She'll still get banged out. Listen, the way she displays herself says that that's the exact type of attention she's looking for. So while they may be going for a fun night, fellas, listen. Do not get these women pregnant, and don't even attempt to lock them down, because it will seal your fate. You've seen it they make TV shows after it. These women are almost, I'm going to say it. You know me, I don't care. These women are almost not human beings. You know how we know? Because the women who get praised for being amazing wives, these women's lives are the exact opposite of those women's. It just sent a chill up my spine to even call them women. These are a type of mutation, and I'm careful that I don't seem to be making light of mental illness that they're going through, because I definitely have compassion for them. They had to have went through something traumatizing in order for that to even change them into what they are now. What we're seeing in these women, it's almost like something terrible had to happen. Or a weak mind that succumbs to peer pressure of social media. Kevin Samuels did an interview, and he asked this woman, were your parents rich? She said no. And he asked her, what did your dad make how much did he make annually? She said about $40,000. He said, well, what makes you think that you deserve a man that makes $200,000 a year? Do you know what she said? Well, I seen other girls talking about it on YouTube. Hey man, you hear me, man? It's like they don't even know what they're doing. Like, we just following somebody else who following somebody else. I don't know, man. But I do have empathy for whatever they've been through that turns them into this. But black men, we don't have time to wait and have empathy. We have to keep moving, because it's us that build things. We don't have time. Like Kevin Samuel said, the world does not owe any of us forgiveness. You either get up and dust yourself off and leave your past behind you and proceed on into the light of your future, or you continue to play in the dusty darkness. And me, I'm the caliber of man who won't play with you in the dusty darkness. I got things going on. I got things that I'm doing. Contaminate your own future with that. Me, I'm going with the odds and probabilities that are higher. Listen, for those of you who aren't convinced that the odds are very low that you can lock one of these women down and secure a future with them, I'm going to give you an example of what they're like. You know how some men sell drugs, go to prison, get out, get some more drugs, sell those, get caught, get out, and repeat that cycle until they have 4 felonies? These women are the exact same level of mental illness. You know how I know that's accurate? Because the entire world has rated these women the most undesirable mates to have on the entire planet. Ain't that something? The entire world has rated these women the most undesirable mates to have on the planet. The entire world has condemned their behavior and called them out, and it simply doesn't matter to them. They continue doing the very things that's getting them called out. And not only that, listen, let's take it a step further. Do you know what has to be happening with a person who does not have... Listen to me. Do you know what has to be happening on the inside of a person that does not have significant income to get pregnant by a man who is likely going to leave them with the baby and do that same thing 2 to 3 more times afterwards? Do you really believe that that's not mental illness of some sort? Fellas, these women are broken. Overwhelming majority of them cannot be fixed. It cannot be fixed. And they're not suitable for unprotected sex. Personally, me, I'd say don't even have sex with them. But because I know that men have urges and we have to do what we have to do, I would suggest that you wear at least 2 condoms with these women. Listen, if you get one of these women pregnant, your hell has just begun. Your hell has just begun, and your dreams are extremely compromised. Trust and believe it. Anything that you're trying to pull off is going to be significantly compromised, and it's going to take a valiant warrior to overcome what she's going to put him through and still pull his achievements off, or whatever goals he had, right? I'm going to tell you who these women are a good match for. They're not a good match for black men who have built themselves up from the dust. They're a better match for, I'm going to say it. They're definitely not a match for men who have overcome significant odds, law-abiding, productive citizens contributing to society, right? Or on the path to becoming one. They're not good for those type of men because they will compromise all the climbing out of that hole that you've climbed out of and have you doing God knows what. Might go to jail for domestic battery, might have you on child support. Now the money that you were going to contribute to the idea you had, X amount of it is going to her, and the kid's not getting any of it. They're going to compromise the hole that you've climbed out of. You know who they're a good fit for? The broken black men in society that the world talks about. The men who are in 12th grade reading at a 4th grade level. And that's not making fun of my brothers. It's just their circumstance. And they deserve somebody too. And I think that these women that we're seeing are the perfect match. It's just where they're at. And the women who have nice jobs and think that they're better than these men, you don't even realize these men are your exact match. Ladies, I'm going to say this. Ladies talk about why men treat them bad. It's because you present yourself as, listen, we're about to wrap this show up, but I want to say this. I'm talking directly to you, ladies. You ask it. You're all on social media asking why men treat you so bad, but in reality, it's because what you present yourself as is only good for sexual activity. So if you look at it correctly, you're doing it to yourself. You're not presenting yourself like ladies or relationship material. You're presenting yourself like sex objects. And then you don't like it when you get treated like sex objects, which is insane by itself. Right? I want everyone to know this. The women that we're hearing running around talking about men ain't ish, men are dog, men are trash, and things like that. It's because of how you're presenting yourself to the world. If you present yourself as a whore to these men and they treat you like a whore, the men aren't at fault. It's you. You're presenting yourself. How he met you, you almost had nipples showing. When he went to your social media, All of your pictures were sexualized. So when he treats you like a sexual object and then hits and leaves, why are you tripping? You did this. But listen, it's always good to chill with you guys and kick it. Nothing less than a pleasure. You guys know what we're going to do. We're going to do better than we did yesterday, because that's what we strive to do every day. Tomorrow's show, you guys got to tune in. It's going to be real hot. We got some really, really big things going on next week. I told you guys that I was going to bring you guys a mastery of a media business. You guys are going to see this whole thing change up next week. And like always, it's nothing but love. It's just us, right?